Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sportsball Roundup. I am your host, Devin. Alongside me is my co-host, Reese Webb. We have an exciting show for you today. First off, let's start with college ball, college football. What do we got going down? First, I'd like to talk about Michigan and Iowa. That game, I saw bits and pieces of it. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but Iowa did not look the best. Their offensive linemen, you told me before the show, were made up of all freshmen that game, and it kind of showed, to be honest. It kind of showed with Spencer Petras kind of getting harassed in the backfield, and so kind of run us through some of what you saw in that game.
Well, I just saw what we all did in the first four games. Nothing really changed. Petras did have a better game than what he has been doing. 21 of 31 passes, so that's good to see. The offensive line did a little better against a good Michigan defense, but still a lot of room to improve. Michigan did win 27-14, but did win 27-7. Iowa drove down the field for a late touchdown to make it closer. Make it seem closer than it actually was.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the offensive line and the play calling is what's troubling for Iowa, because it's equal Petras than his play calling and the offensive line. It's not all on Petras. I know a lot of people like to say it's all Petras.
Yeah.
He sucks. He's this, he's that, but it's not all Petras. It's the offensive line. It's the play calling. Like Iowa just played Michigan in the Big Ten championship last year, and they played them last week. And I don't think they ran one different play that Michigan saw in that Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, and that, you brought up a good point in that it isn't all Petras. I mean, people like to point fingers, and people like to point fingers at one person, and that happens to be the quarterback. But it's not just Petras; it's the entire offensive line, like you said, that are all freshmen. And like you also mentioned, is the play calling. I mean, run, pass, punt. That is the formula for Iowa, and if you haven't figured that out by now, you've been living under a rock. Because that is the play calling that we've gone with for, I don't know, countless years.
Yeah, almost every year that Ferentz has been leading the team, which has been quite a while.
Yeah, it's sad to see. And hot take of the day, I think Iowa is one of the worst 3-2 teams. That is 3-2.
Oh yes, if you're talking offense, yes.
Yeah,
We are one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive team in the country.
yeah, and the only reason
that is proven.
Yeah, the only reason we are 3-2 is because of our defense and our special teams.
Yes,
it's the only reason we're 3-2, and no, I think Ferentz, both father and son, kind of got to get that figured out in the offensive side of the ball. Moving along, we've got Illinois and Wisconsin. This is the game where a coach got fired. Would you like to elaborate on that, Reese?
Yeah. I think Illinois impressed a lot of people. They beat Wisconsin on the road 34-10. I think Illinois is a team that you should look out for in the Big Ten. Like they have a great running back, decent defense. They could be near the top of the West Division at the end of the season.
Yep. I agree. If that's Iowa's next test is Illinois, and Illinois' next, I guess, test is to see if they can out offense Iowa's defense.
Right.
And which that's what it comes down to, because like we mentioned before, Iowa has, struggled a heck of a lot so far this season on offense. So it'll be Illinois. Can they out offense Iowa's defense? Purdue shockingly upset Minnesota. What do you got there?
Nothing much. It's Minnesota's first loss of the year. It didn't get much going against the Purdue defense, but the Purdue offense is something to watch with the former Iowa wide receiver Charlie Jones. He's getting a lot more touches at Purdue, and he's showing out.
Yep, showing out, kind of making Iowa miss him.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yep. ISU, I saw the end of this game, loses a heartbreaker at Kansas to keep Kansas undefeated. I saw the last second field goal in the rain to try to salt that one away and try to give Iowa State a win and Kansas's first loss, but it wasn't meant to be, Reese. Just wasn't meant to be.
It was not. Iowa State gave it all they could. Their kicker missing, I believe, 3 or 4 field goals in the game. Certainly did not help the circumstances. But nonetheless, Kansas, a very, very surprising team at 5-0 this season and near the top of the Big 12. Very impressive with what Kansas has done so far. The past couple years, they've been near the bottom or at the bottom of the Big 12 every year. But something's up with Kansas this year.
Yeah. Something up with Kansas and K-State. Aren't they tied at the top of the Big 12?
Yes, they are. The Kansas teams tied for first with the Big 12. Adrian Martinez.
Martinez, former Nebraska quarterback.
Yep.
Now with K-State, right?
Yep.
Keeping K-State in a lot of games and keeping K-State dominant. I don't know. There might be something in the water in Kansas
yeah, he's playing really well.
Because both Kansas and K-State are undefeated in top of the Big 12. It's crazy to see.
Yeah.
I mean, conventional wisdom says that Kansas sucks at football, but they're dominant in basketball. But right now it's looking like they're going to be somewhat dominant in football too now.
Yeah, and the Big 12 is flipped. You see Kansas and Kansas State at the top, and you see Oklahoma and Texas
near the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Georgia, some people say that they need to go down a couple spots because they almost gave it away to Mizzou last week.
Yeah, they did. They trailed most of the game to Mizzou and had to fight back in the fourth to come out on top. But they did go down to number 2.
Did they go down to number 2 in the standings?
Yeah. Yep, Alabama's now the new number 1 as
ever.
Yeah.
It's usually one of those two. I mean, flip or flop. You got Alabama, and then you got Georgia at number 2, or vice versa. Alabama at 2 and Georgia at 1. So yeah, some people call it SEC bias, but honestly, I I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I can see kind of a bias, but at the same time, name me a tougher conference.
A lot of tough teams in that SEC.
Let's talk briefly about the Bryce Young injury in Alabama and see, do you think that was a serious injury? And do you think that that will impact Alabama going forward?
Um, I believe it was a stinger in the game, and they kept him out to be cautious. I don't think it's a big injury. Um, he should be able to go the next game.
Okay.
But it's something to watch. But I don't think it'll impact anything.
Okay.
Just have to wait and see what happens.
All right, moving on to the NFL, we have Week 4 recap. Let's kind of speed around this. So, what do you got for us, Reese?
All right. Well, the Vikings and the Saints got the London game and overseas and in England, and the Vikings took that one.
Yep.
Last second field goal.
Yep, I saw that. That was pretty cool. I mean, for Vikings fans, it's pretty cool to win in a foreign country. So, can't win in prime time, but you can win in a foreign country. That's kind of weird, but okay. Keep it going.
Yeah. The Chargers held off the Texans 34-24. Giants defeat the Bears 20-12. The Seahawks and the Lions put on a offensive showdown, with the Seahawks taking that 48-45, one of the biggest final scores in NFL history.
Yeah. That was crazy. I mean, if you took the over, you were in the money right there.
Yeah, and who would have thought the Seahawks and the Lions would put on that type of show?
Do you know what's crazy? I saw a stat the other day. I don't know if it's true going out of Week 4, but it was true going into Week 4 that the Lions, first in the country in scoring offense, and dead last in scoring defense. And, I mean, score lines like that just show you that.
Yeah, I guess so. Like 45 points and a loss.
Yeah. Yeah, usually you score 45 points, you're winning the game.
Right. Philadelphia remains undefeated as they took down the Jaguars 29-21. Atlanta defeated the Browns 23-20. Tennessee beat the Colts in a divisional showdown 24-17. Cowboys win against Washington 25-10. Bills defeated the Ravens 23-20 on a last-second field goal. The Ravens led as much as 17, a 20-3 lead, and just couldn't get anything going in the second half.
No, and that was crazy. I mean, usually the Ravens have somewhat of a decent offense and can at least score something in the second half, and didn't happen this week.
Yep. Cardinals beat Carolina 26-16. The Raiders got their first win of the season against the Broncos 32-23. The Jets beat the Steelers 24-20 on a last second touchdown by none other than Iowa State product Breece Hall.
Yep, I saw that. That kind of made me proud as a resident of the state of Iowa. It kind of made me proud to see, a quarterback that was produced here go on and do great things at the next level.
Yeah. The Packers kick a last-second field goal in overtime to defeat New England 27-24. And in that game, Aaron Rodgers threw his 500th career passing touchdown. He's now the fifth player in NFL history to do so.
Yep, I saw that. Congratulations to Aaron Rodgers. And wow, I thought that with Mac Jones being out, that New England was dead in the water in that game. And boy, was I wrong. I mean, I guess you can't count out Bill Belichick and for, count him out for anything. He took backup in Tom Brady because he was Drew Bledsoe's backup way back in the day. He took a backup like Tom Brady and helped him to reach his full potential. And now he took a backup and almost beat the great Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and interesting enough, the backup for Mac Jones, Hoyer, I believe, actually left early with a head injury, and they had to go to their third-string rookie out of Western Kentucky. And just to see him stay close with the Packers is really impressive.
It is very impressive. You just can't count out a mad scientist like Bill Belichick, I guess. That was week 4 in the NFL. Moving on to the major leagues. We got playoffs, Reese.
We got playoffs.
Man, oh man, oh man. Ending the regular season real quick, we got to talk about it. Aaron Judge hitting his 62nd home run.
Oh, man. Making history for the Yankees. Making history.
And we also have a Pujols stat. Would you like to fill us in on that?
Yeah. Along with hitting more home runs. He over the past week, he tied and passed Babe Ruth on the career RBI list. Ruth had 2,214. That was the second all-time. But over the past week, Pujols has ended the regular season with 2,218 RBIs in his career.
Yeah, isn't that something? Who? The only person ahead of him is Hank Aaron, I believe, right?
That is right.
And those two, Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron, are like synonymous with the game of baseball. And so to have Albert Pujols join those ranks is crazy. Have him sandwiched in between two greats like that is just ridiculous. And that's probably, we'll get into it later, but that's my favorite storyline going into this postseason is what can Pujols and Molina do to solidify whatever and demolish whatever doubts anybody has that they're Hall of Famers. So, with those couple of stats, I want to get into from the regular season. Now I want to get into postseason. Kind of what's kind of solidified the format. It's going to be 3 games. Is it 3-5 or 3-5-7-7?
Yes, it'll be 3-5-7-7 with the.
That's to kind of clarify. That is best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, best of 7.
Yep.
The series of games.
Yep. So it'll be all the wild card teams playing the third division winner. So the first series of the postseason, there'll be 2 American leagues and 2 national leagues. So the lineup for the first day of postseason will be the Tampa Bay Rays at the Cleveland Guardians, and the winner of that series will face the Yankees.
Okay.
Phillies and the Cardinals, and the winner will play Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
The Mariners, who have their first postseason appearance in 2001.
Since 2001. Wow, that's a long time.
So they will take on the Blue Jays, and the winner of that will play the Astros, and the Padres and the Mets, and the winner will play the Dodgers. So the way they do the first round is it'll be like a regular series where all the games will be played at the home stadium. They won't go back and forth.
Okay. And then moving forward, they will go back and forth?
Yes. Starting in the next round, the division series is when they'll
go back and forth. Okay, yeah. 3 games is kind of a lot to go back and forth just for 3 games, but
yeah,
I could see 5 and 7s being like that. So, let's do some World Series predicting. Let's get out I'm gonna get out my crystal ball here and kind of look into the future and see where we're at with the World Series predictions. We'll start out with what we actually think is gonna happen.
All right.
And with the teams you have just mentioned, I honestly think that it'll be... I don't want to say this, Reese, but I think it'll be Yankees-Dodgers.
Did you read off my paper?
No, I can't see your paper from here. No, I didn't. I think it would be Yankees-Dodgers. I mean, that's my take on things. I mean, it's conventional wisdom. I mean, LA's got a stacked team year after year. And the Yankees, same thing. Stacked team. I got to go with them. Got to go with the chalk.
Yeah. That's who I've got. The Yankees obviously get this bye. They've got the winner of Tampa Bay and Cleveland. They've got a tough matchup either way. If it's the Rays, obviously it's a divisional opponent.
Yep.
So the Rays have seen them quite a bit.
Yep.
And they might struggle with them. Cleveland, great pitching. I think the Yankees will overcome that. And whoever they play in the championship, whether it be the Mariners, the Blue Jays, but most likely the Astros, that's going to be a really tough.
That's going to be a really
series.
tough. That's going to be a really tough ask for the Yankees, whether they play the Astros or Seattle or whoever they play. It's going to be a tough ask for them to play that championship series and move on, but I think they can do it.
Yeah. And for the Dodgers, having the best record in all of baseball this season, they'll have to go through either the Padres and the Mets to reach the championship series. So I think they'll be able to do that. And then most likely they'll play Atlanta, who won the World Series last year.
Yeah. And I think they'll beat the Atlanta because, I mean, for 2 reasons. Number 1, I think they're a better overall team than Atlanta.
Yeah.
And number 2, it is insanely difficult to get to back-to-back World Series.
Yes.
So I don't think Atlanta can do it this year. So I think it's the Dodgers.
I do too.
So, putting that aside, putting what we actually think is going to happen aside, I want to go with what we want to see happen. And I think we're going to agree on this as well because great minds think alike. I want to see the old versus the new. I want to see the Cardinals versus the Yankees and kind of an old versus new. And the reason being is because of Albert and Yachty.
Yeah.
I think that I want the Cardinal. I'm a Cardinals fan at this point in time. I'm usually a Nats fan, but the best storyline for me is the Cardinals in this postseason, and I want to see them win. I want to see them ride off into the sunset. But if it doesn't happen, I want at least their loss to be to in the World Series to the Yankees in kind of a changing of the guard situation where they, kind of hand it off to pass the torch off to Aaron Judge and company.
Yep, I got the same too. Kind of for the same reasons you mentioned. I'd love to see Albert and Yachty win the World Series and just go out on a high note. Not to say that they won't go out on a high note.
No, but I mean that is the ultimate high note that you could go
yes.
out on is get another ring.
Yep, and the Yankees, just for the fact that Aaron Judge, just that their lineup might just carry them to the World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Stanton, you got Rizzo, you got Mayhew, you got Judge, obviously. I mean, they got a lot of hitters on that team.
Yes, they do, and I think and they're all pretty young hitters.
Oh yeah.
And so, like I said, it's the old school versus the new school, and you always love to see those kind of matchups in big games. And honestly, I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this. And our picks. We'll just have to see what happens. Moving on to the Week 5 preview for the NFL, I am going to have to speed round this one again. What do we got on the lineup? And I will stop you if a game seems interesting.
All right. Well, your Packers.
Which I'm going to stop you. It's going to be interesting because they're at London.
They get the London game this week. Are you going to get up at 8:30 in the morning to watch that?
I will be up for betting purposes, yes. We will go through that segment in a little bit, but yes, to answer your question, I will be up and watching that game.
So they do play in London. They will host the Giants. Steelers at the Bills. The Lions will take on the Patriots in New England.
That'll be an interesting game just because I want to see how well the Patriots do against in a shootout situation.
And most likely it will be that third stringer, that rookie out of Western Kentucky, but it could be Mac Jones. So
okay,
if
so Mac might be cleared to play this coming week.
If he is, he'll most likely play. But if not, he'll be the third string.
Okay, all right. Keep going.
The Dolphins take on the Jets. Falcons at the Buccaneers. Seahawks at Saints. Texans take on the Jags. Titans at the Commanders. Bears at Vikings.
Bears at Vikings is going to be interesting just because it's a division matchup.
Yeah, and it's at noon.
At noon. That means the Vikings are at the peak of their powers. Because we were just joking about this before the show, but I think it might be true that the later in the day that the Vikings play, the worse off they are as a team. It's weird. It's weird to think about. It's weird to conceptualize, but I think it's true.
Yeah, just go look up the records in primetime games for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
and then you'll know.
Speaking of Kirk Cousins, I've got an interesting stat to throw out. He is the definition of a mediocre quarterback. His career record, you want to know what it is?
What is it?
It is 62 wins, 62 losses, and 2 ties.
Wow.
That it means that he is literally 500 across the board.
Oh man.
That is as average as you can ever be. Is this moment in time. 62, 62, and 2.
Dead even.
Yeah, dead even on your career. Not just with Minnesota, but your entire career is just dead even. Can't get ahead, but I guess you can't fall behind either. But Bears at Vikings, what else you got on that list?
The Chargers at Cleveland. The Panthers host the 49ers. The Rams host the Cowboys. The Eagles, the only undefeated team left in the NFL, take on the Cardinals. Bengals at the Ravens on.
I mean, we're on 16-0 watch. I'll stop you there real quick. 16-0 watch for the Eagles. So I think every game moving forward with the Eagles in it, you got to circle. You know, until they lose one, you got to circle it and make sure that you tune into that game because, you know, you could see history made as one of the only teams to ever go 16-0. Or I guess actually we've added a week this year, so they might go and break history and go 17-0.
That'd be something.
Wouldn't that be something? But keep going. We got the Bengals.
Bengals at the Ravens on Sunday Night Football.
I wish I could bet on that, but it's too close for my head to bet that game. I mean, it's going to be there are questions all up and down the Bengals lineup, and there are questions all up and down the Ravens lineup. And, I mean, it's two unknowns. Like, what are they going to be for the rest of the seasons meeting each other? So you can't bet that.
Yeah. No, like, those are two pretty even teams.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
And then the Raiders at the Chiefs on Monday Night Football.
I mean, I think the Chiefs have got that easily. I mean, well, not easily. Las Vegas put on a show last week. Kind of won me a little bit of cash on the side. But, yeah, I think that we got a somewhat good slate of games. Some of them are kind of snooze fest, like anything the Commanders do, because they're kind of awful.
Yeah.
But now we got to move on to my favorite segment. It's best bets time. And I'm going to throw out my bets first this week. Last week I went 1-1. I won. Well, I guess I went 0-2 because I had to hit both the spread and the over in the Packers game in order for my bet to hit. But I bet the spread, and I bet the spread on the Green Bay game. Just a single bet on the Green Bay game, so I lost that because the spread was 9.5. I shouldn't have bet 9.5, but I did, and I ended up losing that. And I bet a same game parlay bet Green Bay minus 9.5 and the over. So I hit half of that, but I still lost because I didn't hit the other half. John, however, did really good. He had a 3-0-1 week with his only, I guess it's a push, but it was a push, but it was Buffalo minus the 3 points. They scored 3 points. So it was kind of just they won by 3 points, so it was kind of just a push there. He had Green Bay on the money line, which won, because Green Bay won in overtime. He had the Chargers minus 5.5. They won by a touchdown. And the Eagles won by over 6.5. I think they won by a touchdown as well. So he went 3-0-1, and I went 0-2, which Man, John, I might have to take your bets this week, but I'm not going to because I want to keep the competition rolling. John's picks, he has Bucks on the money line, Jacksonville on the money line, the Kansas City Chiefs on the money line, the Vikings on the money line, and San Francisco on the spread, which is -6.5. I have Green Bay on the money line, Eagles -5.5, and KC on the money line. Anything jump out at you, Reese, that you think that I shouldn't have bet on or that John shouldn't have bet on this week?
Well, I'm just looking at these bets here. Pretty much all of them look pretty good. Eagles -5.5 at Arizona. That should be good if Jalen Hurts shows up.
Yeah.
I don't know what Cardinals team will show up, the good or the bad.
Yeah. If the good one shows up, I'm in a little bit of trouble, maybe, but
yeah.
I think the Eagles can win by a touchdown or more.
And then the only other one that could be dangerous, but I don't think it will be, is the 49ers -6.5 at Carolina. The 49ers should get it done. But it being on the road is just natural.
Right.
Everything else looks pretty good to me, at least.
Yeah. Yep, we'll see how it goes next week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is Sportsball Roundup. I am Devin Taylor alongside Reese Webb. Have yourselves a wonderful day.